Hello and welcome back. Recently I bought a used 2023 Chevy Bolt EUV. I decided to get a dash cam for it, and in doing some research, one of the top rated units both from Project Farm and Consumer Reports was the VIOFO car camera system, in particular the A119 V3. Now mind you, this is an older unit. It's still currently available. It rated highly, like I said, in those two resources, despite it being called Quad HD, which you would think would mean 4K HD, but this is not a true 4K system. It only outputs 2560 by 1440, whereas 4K is actually 3840 by 2160. Despite that, in both the Consumer Reports and in Project Farm, this camera beat out a bunch of 4K systems. So although it has a slightly lower resolution, it turns out that it's a darn good camera. I purchased mine from Amazon. Along with the camera, I decided to get the polarizing filter to help to cut out glares and some reflection. And they advise either getting a VIOFO SD card or getting a SanDisk. I opted for the SanDisk because I could pick it up for a lot less. It's 256 gigabytes, and you want to make sure you get the high endurance card. Enough of the chit chat, let's open the box. Now, this unit can do parking mode, but in order to achieve that, you'll need to buy optional wiring, which I did not. It also uses a Sony sensor, which is why it's probably so darn good. So in the box, you get a user's manual. You get this nice card here that you can stick on your vehicle to let everybody know what you're using to protect it. Customer service card, some mounting plastic. What else is in here? We get a USB cord for plugging the camera unit to your PC for downloading images. You get some clips for guide wires. You get a little, I forget what you call these things, but you use these to push the cord around stuff and to work it around the dashboard and your pillars and stuff. So it's just a simple plastic tool. You get a long USB to a cigarette lighter, and this is what you're going to use to power the unit. Here's two mounting plates for the unit. What else? Finally, we're down to the sticky tape that you're going to be using, and the actual camera itself, which is pretty darn small and includes a GPS module. So it'll actually record location, speed, and time. What I like about the GPS module is that this unit will come off of the module. So you're sticking the module onto your window, and then this can come off. So it makes it kind of easy. Here's a place for the micro USB card. So it comes as an SD adapter, but you're actually just going to use this small little micro SD card with this unit. Power button, menu button, previous, forward mic, instant marking. So if there's an event and you want to record it, you see something, you just hit that button and it marks it, so it makes it for easy retrieval. You have an audio video port that's available, and then you have your USB port for powering the unit. Again, in the car, you're going to be drawing power through that port, whereas if you take it off the GPS, then you can use that port for power. Here's your camera. Camera does rotate, and yes, this will record audio. As I mentioned, I also purchased the circular polarized lens filter, just to show you what that looks like. It's basically a little frame with a polarized lens, and this attaches to the front lens of the camera. One of the first things we need to do is, without any power being applied to the unit, we grab our micro SD card, and with the screen facing us and the back of the card, so the side without the labeling information, we simply insert it into the slot. And this camera does not come with its own SD card, so you'll have to purchase one. And for best performance, get what they specify. So the card drops in, you push in, there's a spring catch, and it should be flush, and that's how you know that you've mounted the card in correctly. Our next step is to get the included power cable. And by the way, if you're going to run the cable to the fuse box of your car, then you're going to need to purchase the optional wiring package that's not included. This package includes a cigarette type adapter that goes into your power port, and that connects to the USB side of this cable, and then this will connect to the camera. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this cable into the vehicle, we're going to plug the camera in, and I'm going to use the mount that's up here by the GPS, and then we're going to verify, one, that the unit works, and then two, we're going to play around with the camera view to see what location works best inside the vehicle. Once in the vehicle and you have power coming to the unit, you'll get a message that says, do you want to format the card now? All data will be depleted, and the answer to that would be yes. So as far as I know, this is not a touch screen. So we hit the little triangle button, tells us to please wait, and the card is now formatted, and you can see a view. So now what I'm going to try to do is, I would like to mount my camera right here. This is the trim piece in front of the mirror that houses the lane camera and some other electronics. So I'd rather mount there if I can get a view, as opposed to coming up on the glass itself. So now you just sort of have to experiment and decide, where do you want this camera to go? The ideal position is one that does not impede your view of the world, but also gives you a nice center view of what's going on in front of the vehicle, because that's the important part. I'm going to mount it on the trim piece. It brings it almost in center. And so what I did was, with a pencil, I made 2 marks so I can align it when I take this trim piece off and glue this to the trim piece. The mirror does not get in the way, so I've checked for that. So this is a good location for me. The reason I want it on the trim piece is I just don't want to block up the glass, and then when you go to clean your window, the camera's in the way. So this way, pretty much it's out of the way, and it's easy, again, to use the GPS mount to take the camera off or on. I have removed the trim piece from the vehicle, and in the bolt, basically you just pull down on this and it will unclip from the inside of the vehicle. There's another panel here, and that's the harder panel to take out. And I did a video that specifically addresses that issue. So you definitely want to check that out, because to get these clips out is kind of tricky. I've marked off with pencil, while I was inside the vehicle, exactly where this camera is going to go. So now all I'm going to do is take some alcohol and just clean this area so that it's free of oil or anything that might interfere with the 3M tape. We're going to let that dry off a few seconds. Oh, by the way, to remove the GPS module from the camera, put your thumb above the lens, finger up here on top of the module and just squeeze together. That takes it out. You could also load in a blank if you don't want to use the GPS, but you did pay for it, so I'm going to use it. To put it back in, there's a slot that it goes into. Put it into the slot and slide up. It'll make contacts, it snaps into place, and it's ready to go. With the alcohol dried off, I'm going to peel the 3M tape, which exposes the 3M adhesive. And now I just want to make sure that this is square so that it's not cockeyed when I put it into the car. And then you just press down on the adhesive and you should be fine. You can also remove the camera and then just really press down to make sure that the 3M tape has a good chance of adhering, because this is a slightly textured surface. It's not smooth. So I want this to get a really good bite into this plastic before I get the camera back on there. Once I have my trim piece with the camera mounted here, I can take my power cable and feed up to here, and then using the trim tool, just bring it along that seam. Most people will have you bring that cord across this pillar here into the gasket. Once I come down to the gasket, I can probably work all my way down here. Then that gets me inside the vehicle. Options are to run it behind the glove box back there. There's an airbag, a knee airbag system right underneath that, so I got to be careful with that. And then I'm running a cord over here, which is kind of unsightly to get to the power adapter, which is inside the center console. But I'm wondering, I see a little cap here. If this lower panel can be removed, and then maybe I can get access to behind where the power port is, which is on the right-hand side of that black hole. Anyway, that would be advantageous. So at the front panel, there's a cap, and with a screwdriver, that'll just pop right off. Inside is a fastener, so you're going to need a number 7mm nut driver to get that out. And just above, right there, is another trim fastener. This one, I think, will just come off with either this type of tool or maybe something like this. So using this trim tool, I got underneath the cap and I'm pulling, and it's really just threaded so that it pushes in and doesn't come back out. So I think there's no harm in taking it off all the way. I don't know if you can see here. It's just got a point to it, so it just shoves all the way in. So now, I think this panel might come off. Okay, there's no good news here. It's all bad. This lower panel is attached to this upper panel, which is attached to the console panel up there where you have your gear shift controls, brakes, and stuff. So in order to take this one panel off, I have to take everything off. And I don't want to risk breaking one of the tabs because it's just a lot of work and I don't have the manual for it. So we're going to go to a different plan. We're going to come down that A-pillar on the passenger side, hiding it in this door gasket, and then go underneath the glove box. There is an airbag system here, this box right here, going that way. And so I'm going to get behind that. There is a partition of some sort back here. You see where those two holes are? There's a soft partition. So I'm going to ride the cable behind that, come out over at that end, and then just ride it along this edge up into where I need to get the access to the power port. So this part of it might be a little unsightly, but it's the best that I can do given the amount of labor that it would take to do this and the skill level that I'm not at to comfortably give it a try. So as you can see, the cable disappears. We go underneath and there's this soft piece, and I took it all the way to the back, so it's up above that. And then I come out here, but I still have excess cable that I'm gonna have to deal with. And so what I'm gonna do is grab the other end of this cable, and I'm gonna go up here, install my trim piece, which has the GPS mount. So I'll plug into the GPS mount. Then I know how much wire I need to go from the trim GPS mount up into the headliner, and then I can run that wire down, and eventually I'll get to here, and then I'll have some leftover cable which I can secure somewhere underneath this compartment away from this airbag and not interfering with the glove box. We're going to take our trim piece, bring it up behind the mirror, line it up. There are two places that it catches above the mirror, and then a couple more on the outside, and that should do it. And there's one trim cover that goes in place, but I'm not going to deal with that right now, as I want to take my power cord for the camera and just plug it in. And so now I know exactly how much cable I need. And then I start tucking this cable behind this head visor. And on this door seal, you just literally lift up the edge and just tuck the cable in there. And then it seals up right after it. So there's like just a gap in there, and just keep on going until you're down to where you need to cross over. Coming down the door seal, I came across a gap here. So then I just tuck the wire underneath, so you don't see the wire because it's actually behind that piece of plastic. And then there's a cavity back here. So this is my excess cable. And so what I'm going to do is just tuck it underneath there, and you can't see it because it disappears. There's no wire exposed underneath there. The only time you see wire is just this wrap around to the power port. Other than that, it's pretty clean. Nothing on the pillars, and nothing that you can see on the headliner. Before we can install the camera, there's a protective film in front of the lens. That needs to be removed. And once that's out of the way, I'm going to take my polarized filter. This just snaps on over it. And that too has a protective film. So remove that. And now we're ready to mount the camera. We go to our mount here, line up the camera, and snap into place. The camera is mounted. I have one trim piece that still needs to go into place, and that has little guides up in the front of it. I think you can see those teeth there, yeah. And that slides behind the mirror, and then I press up. There are two snaps, and the trim unit is installed. Our camera's installed. Probably have to re-aim it a little bit, but we'll do that, and then we'll go for a test drive. So from my viewpoint, I cannot see the power cable as it snakes in to the power port in the back. So overall, this is a very hidden connection, except for the camera mounted on the trim and not the windshield. And starting out of the driveway, you should see speed reading and location being displayed on the bottom of the screen. Going through a shady area so we don't have direct sunlight hitting the camera. Windshield slightly dirty, so hopefully that polarizing filter will cut through some of that. We're going to pause here for just a moment. I noticed the video didn't look as good as it should, so I did some investigation and I discovered that the polarized filter had a film not only on the front, which I had already removed, but one on the back end of the lens. Once I removed that, everything looked much better, and I think you'll agree. Using the onboard microphone and with the film removed off the camera, we should be able to see a crisper picture. We have noon sunlight, so everything's kind of bright, sharp shadows. My favorite roundabout. Now we'll take off the polarized filter and do the same drive to see if we notice any difference. Same drive with the polarized filter off. One reason to have a dash cam is that it's recording everything you're doing and everything that happens in front of you. So should you get pulled over for speeding and it turns out that your GPS says you're not speeding, well, that's admissible in court. That's evidence that you could present on your behalf. If you get cut off by somebody or somebody purposely rear-ends you, that's also evidence that can be presented in court on your behalf. And this video wouldn't be complete without some nighttime footage with and without the polarizer. After several weeks of day and nighttime driving, I'm impressed with the image quality. I like the fact that you can remove this dash cam and place it in another vehicle by using the 2 included blanks. Instructions are easy to follow. I found installation a breeze, especially with the power port adapter. I would recommend getting the circular polarizing lens filter and a SanDisk micro SD card. A couple things to know about this. It's single camera, so you're only going to get forward view. They do sell units that have a back camera that you can attach. Also, this does not have an app, so in order to download your files, we either can remove the micro SD card, you can bring a laptop or another device in here and connect to this device, or you can just simply take the device in and plug it into your PC or tablet. Plugging your camera into a PC allows you to do 2 things. 1, you can download the images that have been recorded, and 2, you can update the software on the camera. On my computer, the camera shows up as USB drive. If you register your dash cam, you extend the warranty from 18 to 24 months, and you're also able to download their video player. It makes it possible to download all the files on your dash cam for easy viewing. The program will display a map of where you've driven. It also gives you stats on the average speed, what the max speed you achieved, your current speed on the frame that you're parked on, and how many miles you've driven. It also displays a compass to show you your current heading. And here's an example of some of the knuckleheads you'll end up recording with this dash cam. If you found this video interesting or useful, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, join the subscription team, and as always, thank you ever so much for watching.